So this is what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk a bit about who we are and why we're here talking to you about this topic. And then we're going to talk about the 3 healing obstacles, and then the specific steps that you can utilize in order to overcome that. And Zara is going to be going through the bulk of our presentation today. And then we want you to be able to feel like you've walked away with not only specific steps, but also ways that you can get continued support in your area, and try to find the healing and the resources that you need. Okay, let's see that next bad boy. Cool, it's working. We're rolling, you guys. We're doing this. Okay, so my name is Kayna Cassard, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, sex therapist, and a pelvic pain relief expert. I came into this field because I personally had my own issues with pelvic pain, and it took me about 8 years before I got diagnosed, and then about another 2 years before I actually found pain relief. And so over the past decade, I've been not only focusing on pelvic pain relief, but sex therapy as well, and also working with trauma. And as a certified trauma therapist, I realized that chronic pain in the body, especially chronic pelvic pain with an area that is so sensitive to us, creates a response in the body that is like a trauma, like the same thing as PTSD. The same kinds of things happen when we have chronic pain experiences. So over the past decade, I've been focusing on helping individuals and couples address these issues, learn to liberate their sensuality, connect more deeply. You're gonna hear my cat come up here in a moment, because every time he hears me talking to anybody else, he gets jealous. Maybe he'll make an appearance. So and then I also help couples and individuals reignite passion in all areas of their lives. And like I said, my pain had started, it took me about 8 years before I got a diagnosis. So it started when I was 18, and I wasn't given the right kind of guidance. I finally had a diagnosis, which was great, but I didn't have the right kind of guidance, and I didn't know exactly what kind of steps to take. Even though doctors told me, here's what you have and here's what you need to do, I didn't know exactly what to do. So, okay, here's Romeo. Say hello, Romeo. He's gonna be on my lap, otherwise he'll just keep meowing. So that's what our mission is to kind of help people who are in this process and who are going through pain treatment of some sort, to find effective treatment and information so that they don't have to spend years like I did trying to figure out how to get there. And hopefully we'll get you to a place of finding the right kind of healthcare providers and getting the right kind of treatment and support. So that's a bit about where I've come from and why this is my mission statement, and why I really, this is just so near and dear to my heart, because I've been there myself. And I wish somebody like me had existed, I guess it was like 12 years ago now, because then it really would have shortened up my treatment. So that's a bit about me. I'm going to turn this over to Zara, and she's going to tell you about herself and then also take you through the bulk of this webinar.
Yeah, okay, thanks for kicking us off, Kayna. So again, my name is Zara I, and I'm a health and mindset coach for folks with chronic pain, and I have a special emphasis on pelvic pain as well. My personal pain story is a bit similar. I was diagnosed with vulvodynia around age 19, and again, wish that I had a lot of the information that I do now then. And so moving through my whole journey, I was very focused on the physical aspect of my treatment. I saw all of the quote unquote right doctors. Both my parents are physicians. And so I would, got set up with a lot of different great practitioners all over the country. But, I wasn't getting better, and my mental health really suffered from that. I was very anxious and got depressed. And so about a few years ago, I had a bit of a career change. I was working on Madison Avenue, New York City at a very large ad agency, and I decided that I needed to go deeper into health and healing and what that means for folks, and decided to get my master's in integrative health. And now I'm a health coach, and I've seen from my own personal experience, as well as working with clients, that the way we regard our own self, our mindset, our belief systems, our values, that is so interconnected to how we heal and quality of life while healing from a chronic condition, including chronic pelvic pain. So that's what I wanted to dive into today and what inspired this webinar. So let's dive in. Okay, so we're going to be going over the top 3 healing obstacles that we've identified in healing from chronic pelvic pain and some strategies to overcome them. The first obstacle that we've identified is lack of research. So this is true for women's health overall. To date, there really is not a lot of research on women's health compared to the overall population, and this is for several reasons, but specifically pelvic pain as well. And it's thankfully exploded in the past decade. I know when I first was diagnosed, there was maybe 1 or 2 physical therapists specializing in pelvic floor in Los Angeles, and now there are too many to count on my fingers. So it's just really hopeful and incredible. But this lack of research, there's no standardized protocol yet to treating pelvic pain, to diagnosing pelvic pain. And so that can lead to folks going to multiple practitioners, and can take years to sometimes get a diagnosis. And a lot of doctors aren't educated on these conditions and can, potentially just dismiss their patient's pain, or and patients in turn will tend to feel unheard or skeptical, not trusting of their practitioners. And again, I don't want to be knocking any sort of type of practitioner or doctor through this webinar. This is just the experience that I've personally had, and from folks that I've coached. And I recognize everyone's doing the best we can, but this is just one obstacle is this lack of research. So the way we want to reframe this is this feeling of unheard is, from feeling frustrated, confused, and unheard at our doctor's appointments, we want to move that to becoming co-creators of our treatment plans and our own best advocates with our doctors in our appointments. So here's how you can do that. Here's how you can become your own best advocate. The first strategy we wanted to talk about is do your own research, but to a certain point. So, having the internet, the World Wide Web on our side is incredible, right? There's so much information out there, and it can be empowering to, Google a new diagnosis if you feel scared or not sure what it means, and see that you're not the only one out there with that. I know for me, it felt relieving to know that I wasn't like this weirdo in the corner that had pelvic pain, because I really thought that when I was 19. I was so scared, and I didn't know who to talk to about it. But I also want to emphasize that this knowledge is helpful to a certain point, and sometimes it can be overwhelming. It can be a lot. I know for folks, it can be overwhelming to navigate heavy research articles, scientific articles. And some of the, blogs or support groups can focus a lot on the problem and the symptoms of people, and can kind of be a little scary, versus more on the solution and finding hope and a treatment that works. So, just a little caution that if you're starting to feel overwhelmed by the Googling and the researching, take a break, and also feel free to print out some articles and bring them to your doctor's appointments, and they can help you go over them with you, or or what have you. So that's our first strategy. The second one is get really clear on what you're seeking. So the more specific we can be with our goals, the more we're able to achieve, right? So for example, if your goal is, if you're experiencing, chronic pain with sex, and so maybe your goal is to go from the smallest dilator with your physical therapist to the medium-sized one in X number of months. Maybe it's 3 months, 6 months. Or if you're experiencing urinary urgency and are using the bathroom 16 times a day, every hour, for example, maybe a good goal would be to try to reduce that to 8 times a day. But just whatever that goal might be for you, getting really specific and creating that with your doctor and making sure that's a realistic goal. But it's important to do that so you can track your progress and feel like you're meeting smaller milestones and continue momentum and build that hope. And so you can keep going with your treatment. So the last strategy I wanted to touch on for becoming your own best advocate is treating your doctor's appointments as if they're a business meeting. And it kind of is, in some ways you're paying this person for a service, and I had to keep that in mind when I was going to doctors. But think about it. So you go to a business meeting and usually you have an agenda and you have a list of questions you want to ask, and you get really specific on your next steps. So I would treat your appointments just like that. I would come in, I would, write down maybe like your top 3 intentions, your top 3 goals that you want to get out of that certain appointment. You would write down any questions you have, take some notes that you went over, and get really clear on the next couple of things that you, next steps that you are going to work on in your treatment plan with your doctor. And that for me and for my clients has been extremely helpful. And again, like kind of reclaiming your power and really becoming your own, advocate when you're at the doctor's office.